All right, we'll call to order the Stevensville Town Council meeting for Thursday, February 25th, 2021. Ms. Bertha, please call the roll.
Councilmember Devlin. Here. Councilmember Ludington.
Here.
Councilmember Scher. Councilmember Vick.
Here.
Mayor Dewey.
Here. All right, if you please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Okay, it is an opportunity for public comment or comment from citizens on items that are not on tonight's agenda already. Please step to the podium, turn on the mic, state your name and address for the record, and please sign the sign-in sheet at the podium if you're giving public comment. And then again, that's for items not listed on tonight's agenda. Is there any public comment?
Push the button.
Yes, please.
Okay. I've been in front of the council twice in the 50 years I've lived here. This is my second time actually to come in front of a council. I have some questions to ask. I know you can't answer them, but I'll leave them with you to think about. We have a water system in town that really is not functioning very well. We're losing a lot of water every day through the old pipes. My question is, we have a planning board. What plans have been made in order to revamp the water system? How do we stop all these leaks? I've never seen anything. I don't see any plan out there. I see no desire to get a plan. All we do is talk about, we have this problem, but there's no plan. Second, the sewer lines. There are 3 or 4 real bad areas in town that sewers back up in. 40 years ago, Mr. Meadows was our chief engineer in town. 2 blocks from my house, he would open the fire hydrant and flush out the lines. And it worked fine until he retired and nobody took over. Last month, my sewer backed up twice, both times when they were back flushing the sewer line. That's fine. I cleaned it up. I got it all done, got down on my hands and knees and scraped all the manure off the floors and then disinfected everything. We need to do something with our sewer lines along the line. We also have a new subdivision going in. We're going to add to that sewer line. We're going to add to those water lines. I check my water. I have a gauge. I can go out in the yard and check it anytime for pressure. It fluctuates anywhere from 45 to 80, sometimes 90. It still works, but again, what are the plans? Do we have any plan to take care of the problem for now and in the future? The last item is an odd thing, snow removal. We had a great article in the paper about snow removal and that we were going to plow the roads by 9 o'clock every morning. I have not seen a snow plow in my neighborhood all year. The article is really good. I think it's great. but without action, it doesn't carry much. So anyway, if you have any questions, I'd gladly answer them, but you just got my pitch and make a decision of where you're headed. Where are we going? What's the long-range plan? That's the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Monk. Is there any other public comment this evening? All right, we move on. You have before you tonight approval of town council meeting minutes for October 22nd, 2020 and January 28th, 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes from October 22nd, 2020 and January 2020.
Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Devlin, second by Mr. Short, to approve meeting minutes for October 22nd, 2020 and January 28th, 2021. Council discussion? Any public comment? All right, hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Bertha?
Councilmember Devlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Ludington.
Aye.
Councilmember Sherrod.
Aye.
And Councilmember Vick.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next on your agenda is approval of the biweekly claims. We have claims 16570 through 16580.
I'll make a motion to approve claims 16570 through 16580.
Yes, sir.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Devlin, second by Mr. Ludington to approve claims 16570 through 16580. Claims, questions on claims from council? Any public comment on claims?
Mayor, I have a question for you if you're able to hear me.
Yes, go ahead.
I had a citizen ask me about claim 16579. I just want to make sure that has to do with a yearly conference with the National League of Cities. And the question was mainly about, did this have anything to do with your appointment to that board with the NLC that you got appointed to?
Yes to both. So I attend the conference because it is an annual national conference, and it being a very elaborate or active legislative year, it's important that I attend that. There's some education opportunities for mayors associated with that as well. And then there is a meeting I attend during that conference that is connected to my appointment to the Small Cities Council.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And that is just to clarify that event as well, it's an all virtual event. There's no travel associated with that event. If I wanted to attend it in person, which it's not offered in person currently, if I wanted to attend in person, that would be a travel to Washington, D.C.
All right, thank you.
Any further council comment or public comment on the claims? All right, hearing none, Ms. Bethel, go please.
Councilmember Devlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Ludington.
Aye.
Councilmember Sherrod.
Aye.
And Councilmember Vick.
Aye.
All right, thank you. You do not have any administrative reports this evening. Those happen at the first council meeting of each month. However, breaking out of the mold, we have guests to introduce you to this evening. The chief of police candidates are in town or joining us virtually as well. This evening, we've gone through an elaborate selection process, and we're deep in the throes of that this week, where panels, we had a panel interview yesterday with presentation. Mr. Short was kind enough to join us for that. And then today, the staff members at SVD met with each of the candidates, and we held a forum there for information as well. So this evening before the meeting, we had a social event, and we had members of the public come in, actually a decent showing, to introduce themselves to candidates and ask questions. And then we asked candidates to do this meeting so that they can obviously introduce themselves to the town council, and then get an idea of what the legislative process looks like in Stevensville and the sense of the community and the inner workings here. So what I'd like to do, I did prep them. Steve may be the only exception that he may not have got the full briefing that I asked them to have just a quick elevator speech prepared or an introduction, more or less. So if each of the candidates would come up to the podium and introduce themselves, I'll call you up here usually, and just maybe in under a minute, speak a little bit about where you're from, who you are, and a little bit of that experience. That would be greatly appreciated. We'll start with Mr. Neal.
You're gonna do on or off,
You can take your mask off to speak. That's
so people can see the face.
correct.
Okay. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for having me here. My name is Michael Deal. I currently live in Pocatello, Idaho. I originally hail from Rochester, New York, where I spent, I need to press a button here.
The camera, so we're gonna move the camera for just a moment.
Great. So I spent 18 and a half years with the Rochester, New York Police Department, where I retired as a lieutenant. And prior to that, I spent just under 6 years with the Marine Corps, where I was captain. And did a couple tours overseas. Got my bachelor's degree from Rochester Institute of Technology in criminal justice back in 1994. Married, no kids, and I think my wife just checked into our Airbnb down in Corvallis. It's a pleasure to be here. I think this process has been actually quite fantastic. So regardless of who you end up choosing here, I think you're gonna have a good product at the end of the day. So I thank you for having me here, and good luck.
We're gonna hit them alphabetically by last name. So we're gonna next do Steve Dodson. Steve is actually joining us virtually. He's here on our screen. Steve is from the Marshall Islands. They're 19 hours ahead of where we are. So this gentleman is speaking to us from the future. So he was not able to join us in person because of travel restrictions. So his participation in this process has been strictly virtual throughout the week. So Steve, I'm going to crank up the volume and you have at it. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good afternoon or good evening there in Montana. My name is Steve Dodson. I'm currently overseas at the U.S. Army Garrison Kwajalein Atoll. I've been here since June 2nd, 2018, overseeing a federal contract that provides law enforcement security services for the installation. Prior to that, I was hired and worked as a police officer in my hometown of Warrenton, Virginia, which is about 45 miles south of Washington, D.C. From there, before coming to my current assignment as the operations captain, I rose through the ranks from a patrol officer through to sergeant to lieutenant, and before leaving, I was the acting deputy chief of police. I have my associate's degree from Herzing University online. I got that while I was working at the police department, and I'm currently finishing my bachelor's degree through California Coast University, which will be completed before the end of summer of this year, 2021. I am married. I've got 3 daughters. My oldest daughter is getting ready to graduate high school, and she'll be going to college in Northern Virginia, DC area. It's been an adjustment. I'm not sure if I'm personally ready to have one of my girls leave the nest, but either way, I'm excited for her. She wants to pursue her degree in nursing. It's a great time for us to come back to the States with one of our daughters leaving. So once my contract's up, we will be coming back stateside. Just throughout this entire process, it's been extremely appreciative. I've been appreciative and extremely grateful for the accommodations for you guys to work with me virtually due to the travel restrictions as to where I am. I have to agree with Mr. Deal. I do think that you guys, regardless of who's selected, you guys have had a phenomenal process, and I think you guys are going to be very lucky for whichever candidate you choose. And again, thank you. I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity.
Okay. Next, thanks, Steve. Next is John Ellington, current interim chief of police.
Thank you guys for having me.
Nice to meet you and see you all again. Y'all know me. Currently interim chief of police for Stevensville since November of 2019. If you don't know, prior to being appointed to police officer in Stevensville, I was an officer in Lakeland, Florida, and I was a deputy sheriff in Highlands County. I did SWAT school, field training, crisis intervention, just to name a few. While I was down in Florida, moved up here, became fire instructor, general instructor, and got my Montana basic post certificate out of Montana Law Enforcement Academy. Prior to that, did 5 years in the Marine Corps, did a combat tour in Afghanistan, Helmand Province, really nice place. And came out here. My wife's family's in Darby, so we moved down here. Got a little boy, he's about a year and a half. And I got another one on the way who's going to be a husband. So, 2 in the house, 2 boys. Looking forward to that. And pretty much we're setting our roots in here. And really look forward to hopefully be the chief of police for Stevensville.
It's done.
Pretty distant, right?
Next up is the
Hello, everyone. My name is Max Sosa, no relation to Sammy Sosa or the guy that killed Tony Montana in Scarface. I'm happy to be here. Your slogan is small town, big
personality.
big personality. We're always treated very well whenever we visit the area. My daughter, son-in-law, and 4 grandchildren live just outside of Corvallis. They decided to live off the grid. I don't know why, but that's the way they want to live. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas. I spent just over 20 years with the Houston Police Department. I held positions in patrol as a supervisor and as an investigator. I spent the majority of my time in Houston in the homicide division. After retirement, I went to the University of Texas. I spent 3 years there as an officer and as a detective. After that, I went to a constable's office. I was a sergeant and a lieutenant there, and decided to go back to the University of Texas. At the University of Texas, on my last stop, I was a detective and a senior detective. So I've got a lot of investigative experience. I've got experience as an operator, supervisor, and manager. Just like everyone has said, we've got some great candidates. The mayor's got a hard decision to make, and I think you'll be pleased with whoever he chooses. So the process has been very good. It's been very thorough, and I think you all will be satisfied with his decision. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, Robert, can you put that camera back around so our guests online can see us? Go a little further to the right there. Perfect. So we'll turn it again when we have our presentation, which is up next for the location and future maintenance of the Stevensville Civic Club's splash deck project. We have Ms. Prather to present.
Okay. Right. Okay, good.
Unless you're going to get public comment or something.
Okay, no. I'm just going to do this and leave. But we sent a letter. I'm presently the president of the Stevensville Civic Club, and we declared a project for the Civic Club, and it was a lot of interest was shown through getting the opinion from people, kind of a vote or a show of interest, what they thought. And it came up as one of the top things. And splash parks are great. I enjoy them myself when I take my grandson to them and so on. And so I think they're going to be a huge, wonderful addition to the Lewis and Clark Park. And we thought, well, that's where we would start. We talked about Ravalli Park as well, eventually, possibly, to see how this other one would work out. But we are here this evening just to ask the council if you would give us permission to do this and to locate it in the Lewis and Clark Park. We've done a lot of research about it, and we have committed funds already, and we have raised some funds that we have, set aside that we could go ahead and use for this. So the fundraising part would be in the hands of the Stevensville Civic Club, and then go through possibly donations of material and so on. So in order to, proceed, we need your blessing. We need to know that it would be okay with the council for us to proceed on this project.
Can you speak, Joan, to the amount of funding you need for the project, and what you already have raised?
I'll let Victoria address what we have raised already, but the type of funding that we would need, basically, to be able to handle this kind of the way they did the patterned after the Bear Mountain Park. And so we've gotten a figure from people who handle it, who do these things, but we did explain to them, we're going to raise things and donate and so on. So the equipment part of it would be like $33,407, and then construction and installation, which we're hoping for volunteers and donations and so on. That's at $87,400. So it comes to $120,809 thereabouts for the total. But what we would be looking at is, to work with the city's part. What we would do is to look to you with some possible help from your city maintenance people, a match, something like that, like we've done in the past on the when we did the street project. That was the main street, but when we did that, we worked with the city, and so the value of that was put in. Of course, it was money we didn't have to pay, so that was awesome. So participation like that is what we would be looking at, and then the funding part, we would be responsible for that.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a drawing of it, and we have a location picked out, and it's about 1,000 to 1,200 square feet. I think we had a measurement on there one time, but anyway, yeah, we discussed 1,000 to 1,200 square feet for the splash deck, and that should be adequate. And we also have the area with some shaded area for the tables, that's with those little stars on them. And then chairs that would add approximately 200 to 300 square feet more from the concrete patio, and the ADA ramp area, which is the area that goes up, that'll be raised up a little, and so that kids and adults can go up there and see what's going on and enjoy themselves. The rough area at the park is about 60 feet by 60 feet square, bordering the sidewalk that leads into Bear Mountain. So right when you enter that sidewalk off of the parking lot that goes into Bear Mountain, to your left is the open area there. And that's where we would want to put that splash deck park area. Did I answer anything that you really wanted?
You did answer the total cost.
I did.
Defer to Victoria on what you've raised already towards that goal.
Yeah.
And if you're comfortable speaking.
Oh, sure. Okay. So we, to date, we have about 17,000 committed. I want to say that That's just barely touching the surface, but the reason that we didn't feel it was appropriate to start seriously asking for funds from people without the approval of the council. So we got some commitments and we actually have the cash in the bank, but we put a stop to it before we go any further. It's a very popular thing. People are wanting to donate to this. People really like the idea that it's hot in the summer here. One of the neat things about the splash deck is it's totally free. You don't have to pay to go into the pool. It's very safe as well, and it's for all ages. So, but that has nothing to do with the funding. But so that's where we're at on the funding. We're really looking forward to getting started a full blast on the fundraising.
I'll turn to town council for any questions or motion if it's okay.
Yeah, I do have a question if you said this was the appropriate time. Hey, Joan, if I could barely hear you when you were talking about the funding sources and whatnot. Are you looking for anything monetary from the town for this project?
Well, as I was explaining, and you might not have been able to hear me, is this better for you? Can you hear me?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay. With the town, participation from the town, number one, to give us permission so that we can go ahead and start funding towards this. We had, like I said, when we did the streetscape project, the town helped like with some removal of the cement and so on sidewalks and whatnot, which the benefit comes back then because those sidewalks and stuff were all evened out. And anyway, it was just a working together. And then that was categorized into a financial value. So it provides like a match when we're talking about funds financially, any help that we can get from the city with equipment or whatever you guys want to donate, that's entirely up to you, of course. But participation like that with us would be great. And then maintenance afterwards within the park. We've talked to the park board. We have their blessing on it. They were very excited about it, thought it was good. So that then when we're done with it, we would give it to the city, right? Right, but we're not asking for any cash. Right. No cash from the town. Right.
Unless we offer.
Unless you
Okay,
want,
then.
of course.
That answered my question. Thank you.
Okay, great. Is there anything else? I have some other pictures, I think, on the project materials that I think you all received. Get a chance to kind of look through that and see what that's about. This is a freshwater, what you have seen here. A gal that I've been working with, she didn't have ready at that time when I had to get it into the town for the one that is a recycled, it's like recycled water. And they say initially that's more expensive to put in. But then we were looking at that just because of the cost of water. And I think we will work together with the park board and see, you know, if there's any decision there or how they want to proceed. If it's the fresh water, it turns on, turns off by itself, you know, so it just kind of squirts, get all wet and run around for a while, and then it shuts off, and it's all controlled, and it'll shut down by certain time and won't be running, you know, through the night, that type of thing. So it has controls on it. Cost difference on that though, when I looked at it, appears to be about $24,241 greater than the freshwater one. So, I talked to the guys at Florence that have their park there. Of course, it's much smaller, but gets used pretty fair. And he said, they just let it drain and it hadn't seemed to be much of a problem, or any problem. So it's just something that we can look for, but we can't proceed without seeing if you'll let us put it there. The ideal location, I might add.
That was the only question that I had. As I was looking through the proposal, I didn't see the freshwater recirculation system and how we wouldn't be just pumping water into the system for the attractions and then it leaving the system. It gets recycled and reused.
There is, as I mentioned, we've gotten them both here for the recycled and for just fresh water.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
This was this idea came about from the community voting for this. Is that correct?
Right.
So this isn't something the Civic Club just came up with. The town had input. There were enough votes that they wanted to see this for the community.
Right. We did a couple back a while, over a year ago. We did some posting things where we, what would you vote for out of this? There was a selection of different things. And this came up as one of the main things that they would really like to see happen. And economically, it's a good thing too for the town because it'll draw people. And of course, then they stop and they get their ice cream. And there's some papers there at the end, I believe, that talks about the economic value of it and so on. So, because I know I'll go clear into Missoula and take my grandson just so he can run and play and they're well attended. So I think it would be a nice addition with our beautiful park and what we've already got there with the Bear Mountain. Be a nice entity.
The project from the administration's perspective, when it was discussed at the park board level with our Parks and Recreation director, this project would really complement our swimming pool in a great way, where our swimming pool does not really accommodate people who are under 2 feet in height. But it does. We don't have a zero entry swimming pool. It is at the shallowest point 2 feet deep, and that poses some challenges for some kids who aren't quite comfortable getting into water but want to enjoy water recreation in the summertime. And so this is a kind of a complement or another option for those with very young children, and of course it's built for older children as well. But that's a piece that's missing at our current aquatics facility, is that there's no zero entry, and it's not kid friendly. When you're at a very young age, still learning to walk, still getting acquainted with water. So that's largely, I think, why the Parks Department and administration got behind the project and became participants.
So it looks like here what you've got is an RFP, but you also already have a quote from someone.
What we did is that there were RFPs sent out, and there's a copy there, and that was back in September. No one responded. Am I correct?
No, there were 6 RFPs sent out on behalf of the Civic Club. And the goal there was to RFP, see what it costs, see who locally would want to help us design it, and then bring the price back to council for the proposal.
And we did not get anything from that. And I had been visiting with this Jennifer Heflin. She's with Rain Deck. And so to look at or to visit with someone who's already done a project like this, and she understood. She said, we're very happy to work with communities, kind of like this Bear Mountain deal did, and you do what you can, and then you jump in and they work with you and so on. And I had sent her that RFP, but I don't know what happened. If it was the COVID thing or whatever, I didn't hear back right away, and I got a hold of her. I said, well, it's after the fact, but I would like to have some figures, to work with. And happy to do so. So she sent this paperwork to us. And certainly then, part of the benefit is, the plumbing supplies would be done locally. Anything that we need that we can get locally, of course, we will. And then cement and so on. It'll benefit economically in the valley, the initial project and so on. Yeah. So that's how we ended up in contact with her. And of course, they're very complete about it because they do it so much. Pretty specialized. Yeah, it is a specialized field.
Looks like it's
Yeah, yeah. And we have put, there was a drawing there of the different things. There would be like this mushroom thing, different kinds of and it fills up very nicely the way with the different areas. One part's kind of like for the little kids because they don't like to have an entire bucket of water dumped on them. And so these different areas are kind of age oriented as well. And so those were things that they could provide us with. So,
Well, I would like to make a motion.
what do you
Have at it, Paul.
I would like to make a motion to allow and encourage the civic club to proceed with this plan. And listen.
I'll second that. Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Ludington and seconded by Mr. Sherwood to allow and encourage the city to proceed with the splash pad project. Council discussion?
I just want to say thank you for this is great for the town. Appreciate it.
I just want to make sure that the motion was to allow approval of the project, correct?
Correct. Yeah, you're getting your blessing to proceed.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Any further council comment?
Yeah, I would imagine that my own concern is water. I understand that it costs more to recirculate that water. To try to be able to do that and not use.
Right, and that's why we did look into that. And I do have the information on that, which if you want, after this, we can certainly send that to you just so you can, it's the same design and everything, but then there's a difference there on the recirculation and stuff.
I envision just like we did with when Bear Mountain and Skate Park went in and the town obtained ownership of those assets. We did some agreements with those organizations, and what I'd like to do is address things like water use and the administration's committed to kind of figuring out what kind of use does that water, or those features use, and what are we looking at either way, cost benefit wise. So we're keeping an eye on that. Listen to the water we're producing. It'd be awesome if we could capture a lot of the water we're leaking and send it to this project. Any public comment on the motion? Okay. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. Ms. Bertha.
Councilmember Devlin,
Aye.
Councilmember Ludington,
Aye.
Councilmember Sherwood, and Councilmember Beck.
Aye.
All right, very good. Vote motion passes unanimously. John, thank you for your
Thank
time.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon.
The most fun I've had.
Congratulations.
Real quick, is there any way that I can make a motion to group the next 3 items together and to be in one item?
Yes, that's perfectly acceptable. Robin, do you want to turn the camera back around? Again, so we can see the rest of it. Perfect. Next time we'll put that on a lazy Susan. No, I was lying. So Councilmember Vick has inquired if you can make a motion to combine items B, C, and D in new business on the agenda. You want to make a motion to that effect, Nancy?
Yes.
Okay, I'll accept that as so moved.
So moved.
Okay, Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Vick, seconded by Mr. Short to combine items B, C, and D under new business. Any council discussion on combining the items? Public comment? All right, we'll call for the vote. Ms. Bertha?
Councilmember Devlin,
Aye.
Councilmember Ludington,
Aye.
Councilmember Shurd,
Aye.
and Councilmember Vick.
Aye.
All right, you have before you consideration of items B, C, and D of new business, and those are discussion decisions on consent to the mayor's appointment of Eric Paulson, Trevor Franson, and Christina Corsa as volunteer firefighters for the Stevensville Fire Department. Chief Motley has worked through the hiring process with each of the candidates before you this evening. On the fire department side of things, he submitted his recommendation to the mayor that those appointments be consented to by the town council.
I'll make a motion to approve the mayor's appointment of the 3 individuals as volunteer firefighters.
A second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Mr. Vick and seconded by Mr. Short to consent to the mayor's appointment of the 3 volunteer firefighters. Those are Eric Paulson, Trevor Franson, and Christina Corsa. Council discussion. Public comment. All right, hearing none, we'll call for the vote. Ms. Bertha?
Councilmember Devlin. Aye. Councilmember Ludington,
Aye.
Councilmember Shurd.
Aye.
And Councilmember Vick.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. That motion passes unanimously. That completes the business portion of your agenda this evening. The executive report, I already reported on the police department hiring process. And so I will be working towards digesting the abundance of information that's been thrown at me over the last 48 hours. And work towards bringing an appointment to the police commission and ultimately to the consent of the town council. So we can expect that in the month of March. I hope sooner rather than later. And I again like to thank the candidates for taking time out of their lives and schedules to venturing as they're able, of course, to the Bitterroot Valley and Stevensville and visiting us here, and Steve's cooperation in working with us to do this virtually. That's been an experience, and it's in and of itself. So we're looking forward to the future there. Otherwise, I can tell you, based on some public comment, rather than waiting until the next council meeting to address some items, I can tell you the new public works director, Steve Cruz, has hit the ground running. He's running really fast and not running out of breath. He's been very tenacious in addressing leakage. He's already been in contact with HDR and with the firm that did our leak detection over the summer. They did leak detection throughout the city on a number of mains. He's found the list of trouble spots and has already begun the process of nailing down the list. We have about 24 meters that haven't been reading, and we're basically sunsetting the requirement or the ask of people that we've had a number of meters that have gone bad or have stopped reading and haven't been able to get into their homes because of concerns about the pandemic and the germs. So we're addressing that. Steve's working with homeowners to get those couple dozen meters addressed. That will help us narrow down any water loss that our meters are missing. And then we'll move towards that process of addressing it. So I imagine this, in brevity, you'll hear more from him on leakage for sure. And on the note of the water system, this question's come up to me a couple of times. There's a statement in the newspaper on an advertising that talks about our water wells running 24/7 in the power bill. There was 1 month where there was an electrical malfunction on some equipment that we believe caused a spike in our power bill at the well field. That combined with a heavy water use because of a structure fire in town. And that structure fire happened to be timed around irrigation. And so our wells ran very strong to refill the reservoir in the time it needed. So those things cause, we pump more water. We have an increase in power. That's how that works. Our wells always run 24/7. That's how you get water at 2 a.m. is the wells are running. So the fact that our wells run 24/7 to keep the system supplied, they're built to do that. That's exactly what they do. So that's not unnormal for our wells to run all the time. Steve's also addressing some issues with snow removal and our snow plan and how that's implemented. This snowstorm was our entire public works staff, with the exception of one individual who's still on leave. Their first snowfall as a public works employee. So there were some deficiencies we had to address and some kinks in the system, but they stepped up to the task and recovered quite well. So I didn't want to leave some of that unaddressed. We continue to work to improve. That's our goal, provide exceptional service, and so we won't stop doing that. That more or less concludes my executive report. Barring any questions from the town council, I'll leave it to your town council comments.
What are you gonna decide about the police chief?
I think I'm gonna sleep on it. I don't know. I've got 2 days worth of notes from 11 individuals, 12 individuals who have all had exposure to the candidates in their own way. And then I'd like to be able to have an opportunity to sit and go through those notes and those remarks that they've been able to evaluate on presentations and on the conversations they've had with the staff interviews that we held this afternoon. So I've got a lot to go through in terms of what other people have submitted in terms of the recommendation and their thoughts to narrow this down. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure, this might frighten the candidates a little bit, maybe not. I'm not sure if I can narrow it down from the 4 to one single candidate. We might have to add a step to the process. I don't know that. And that might be addressed through the police commission meeting, or that might be addressed through some other forum of some kind. But I'm speaking candidly, I'm incredibly proud of this organization and the talent we've recruited for this position. Before we reconciled the applications for the position and we kind of kept tabs on what was coming in, Robert and I were a little nervous. I thought this might be a long recruitment in terms of trying to get a good applicant pool. And we were pleasantly surprised as we approached the deadline to submit applications that we were getting a really solid pool of people. And we're extremely fortunate to have the opportunity to engage with these 4 men and learn more about them and have the opportunity to possibly bring one of them to our community. I liken this to going to the pound. I'd like to bring them all home, but that's a 6-figure cost. So, sorry, gentlemen, it isn't going to happen. But yeah, this is a once in a long time process for this community. It's not something you go through very often, and so I'll be careful to call it a burden. I don't know as though it's a burden, but it's a tremendous responsibility on my shoulders. And I'm grateful for the people who have offered their advice and their feedback on the process and on the candidates themselves. It's a long-winded answer to your question. Any other questions?
He doesn't know.
Don't know. You'll know when I know, or shortly after. Any other questions from council for me, for your council comments? Okay, any council comments?
I just wanted to say I had an opportunity to sit in on the interviews on Wednesday. It was an extraordinary experience. These are very, very well qualified candidates, every single one of them. I'm confident whichever one to take will serve us well. I think we're very fortunate. Good luck, Meredith.
Thank you. Any further council comment?
Yeah, I was on the council when Chief Marvel was hired, and the process that we went through was not even close to what you're going through now. And I applaud the town administration on what they've done. to try to make this as transparent as possible. It's awesome, awesome way to go about it, and I really appreciate that you guys went to these great lengths to make sure this happens. The only other comment I'll say at this point is more community oriented than council oriented, and for those of you who travel around town, you may notice that there's a big hunk of building missing from the Methodist Church. If you have questions or want to know about that, please see me outside of this forum, and I'll be happy to discuss that with you. It's a pretty exciting thing for the church. Thank you.
Any other council comments?
I just want to say that I look forward to hopefully being able to be at a public hearing in person with you guys next week. As the council knows and the mayor knows, I currently am under quarantine right now due to possible COVID exposure. I get tested tomorrow morning, but since it's the federal government that's testing me, I should find out sometime within the next year. So, but as far as anything else, I'm okay. I have no needs. Just to let anyone out there in the community know I'm good right now. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vick. One last plug, back on the police department, please. I owe a tremendous amount of gratitude to Janelle in this process, and I'm going to just take this moment to let her shine. She's not even soliciting me for it. She has gone above and beyond to help me make this process as smooth as possible, and as has Robert. But Janelle has really pulled through for me this week, and in that, helping me pull the logistics of all of this together. It's really rested on her and my shoulders for those pieces. As the rest of our staff does a remarkable job of holding the fort down while I'm essentially absent for 2 days and hosting these candidates. So, you know, they deserve a round of thanks, and certainly, Janelle, I appreciate her efforts to keep the community running smoothly in this process going along. So that's all. Jamie?
Yeah, if I might add, I guess there's a rumor going around our town that has made its way to myself a few times today. There was no money that was paid to these candidates to come here. The town did not pay. I'm correct in
That's
that.
correct. We negotiated lodging for them, but we did not cover the lodging. I will tell you, however, that it is not uncommon, especially in an executive recruitment like this, it is not uncommon for communities to cover those expenses. We were lucky enough to have connections at local establishments where we were able to offer the candidates an opportunity to take advantage of a good lodging rate. But no, we didn't spend any budgeted funds other than we spent $8.99 at Costco for cookies for the reception. That's it. You're welcome. Any other last council comments before we go to, I don't think there are any board reports, we can just bag that. So, going once, going twice, your mic's on?
No, I'm going home. I'm
Oh.
saying, yes, let's go home.
Oh, okay, are you sure?
Yeah,
Because we've got,
no, we're good.
oh,
We're gonna
okay,
go home.
with that, we'll adjourn. Everyone have a great evening. Thank you.